Hello everybody. If you want to read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short Story 680, The Silent Witness. Intermediate. Chapter 1, The Vanishing. On a cold winter's evening, Sarah walked home from the bus stop. The streets were empty, covered in a thin layer of snow that crunched underfoot. She could hear the distant sound of car tires on wet roads, but apart from that, all was quiet. Sarah had always enjoyed walking home at night. The quiet was comforting, and it gave her time to think. As she reached the corner of her street, she noticed something unusual. A figure stood in the shadows at the end of the road. The street lamp flickered above, casting an eerie glow on the figure's face. Sarah stopped for a moment, uncertain. It was a man, tall and broad-shouldered. His head was down, so she couldn't see his face clearly. Sarah had the sudden feeling that something was wrong. She tried to shake the feeling off, but the hairs on the back of her neck stood up. She quickened her pace and walked past the figure, not daring to look up. She was almost home when she heard footsteps behind her. The man had followed her. Panic set in. Sarah turned quickly and started walking faster, her heart racing. She glanced behind her and saw the man still following, his pace matching hers. She was only a few houses away from her front door, if she could just get there. But then he spoke. "You're in danger." His voice was low and calm, but it sent a chill down Sarah's spine. She stopped dead in her tracks and spun around. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to sound brave. The man stepped closer. "Listen carefully," he said. "There's someone inside your house. You need to get out now." Chapter 2, The Warning. Sarah's mind raced. Had someone broken into her house? She had to check, but she didn't want to turn her back on the man either. Her eyes darted to the street, hoping for someone to come by, but the road was still deserted. She was alone with this stranger, and his words echoed in her mind. "Someone inside your house." Her fingers trembled as she fumbled for her phone. She dialed the number for the police, but as soon as the call connected, she heard a strange noise. A loud crash coming from the direction of her home. Without thinking, she hung up and started running. The man followed her, but now he was silent. Sarah's breath came in quick bursts as she rounded the corner and saw her house ahead. The front door was slightly ajar. She had definitely locked it before she left. She approached cautiously, but the man was faster. He grabbed her arm, putting her back. "No," he whispered urgently. "Stay back. I'll go in first." "Why should I trust you?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. "Because I'm trying to save you." The man's tone was steady, but his grip on her arm tightened. Sarah hesitated, but the urgency in his voice made her step back. She watched as he moved quickly toward the door, disappearing into the shadows. Chapter 3, Inside the House. Sarah stood frozen in place, unsure of what to do. She could hear the faint sound of footsteps inside the house, and her mind raced with thoughts of what might be happening. Was the man really trying to help her, or was he part of whatever danger lay inside? Then a loud crash echoed from the hallway, followed by a shout. Her heart pounded in her chest. Without thinking, Sarah ran toward the door and pushed it open, slipping inside. The man was facing off with someone in her living room. A tall, thin figure dressed in black was holding a knife. The man in the shadows was trying to talk to him, to calm him down. "Stay back!" the figure shouted, his hand trembling as he pointed the knife. The stranger who had been following Sarah raised his hands slowly, but his eyes were focused, calculating. "You don't want to do this. It's over." The figure hesitated, but then lunged forward, slashing the knife through the air. The man moved quickly, knocking the knife out of his hand. Sarah gasped in shock as the two struggled, but within moments the stranger had pinned the attacker to the ground. "Call the police," he said without looking at Sarah. She quickly dialed 999, giving the dispatcher her address. The sound of sirens grew louder as she watched the man hold the intruder down. In what felt like an eternity, the police arrived and took control of the situation. They arrested the attacker, who was now silent and compliant. Chapter 4. The Truth Revealed. An hour later, Sarah sat in her living room, a cup of tea in her hands, trying to calm her racing heart. The man who had warned her was sitting across from her, watching her closely. He hadn't said much since the police had arrived, and Sarah had been too shaken to ask questions. Finally, she couldn't take it any more. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. He looked at her, his expression unreadable. "I'm someone who's been watching you," he replied, "and I'm sorry, I should have done more sooner." Sarah frowned. "Watching me? Why? Who are you?" He sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. "I'm part of a team that tracks dangerous people. The man who broke into your house has been following you for weeks. He's part of a gang involved in several robberies, but he wanted more than just money from you. He was planning to hurt you." Sarah shivered at the thought. "So you were watching me to protect me?" "Not exactly," he said, his gaze softening. "I was watching to make sure you stayed out of danger, but it's hard to explain everything. I never meant for you to get caught up in it." "Why didn't you tell me?" Sarah asked, still processing everything. "I couldn't," he replied quietly. "It would have put you at more risk, but I'm sorry, I should have done more." The room was silent for a moment, and Sarah tried to make sense of the chaos of the past few hours. She had gone from feeling safe in her own home to almost losing everything. And now, here she was, sitting with a man she barely knew who had saved her life. "Well," she said after a long pause, "I guess I owe you a thank you." The man nodded, standing up. "It's my job. You don't owe me anything." Sarah watched him as he walked to the door. "Will I ever see you again?" He paused, his hand on the door handle. "I hope not, but if you ever need help, you know where to find me." And with that, he left. The door closed behind him, leaving Sarah alone with her thoughts. She wasn't sure what had just happened, but one thing was clear. Her life would never be the same again. Vocabulary notes. Cautiously. Definition. In a careful and prudent manner, with attention to possible danger or risk. Example. She approached cautiously, but the man was faster. Sarah was careful, making sure she didn't rush in and put herself at risk when approaching the door. Similar words. Carefully, warily, guardedly, prudently. Context. Cautiously often suggests that the person is wary or unsure of something, so they move slowly or carefully to avoid trouble. Gripped. Definition. To hold something tightly, often because of fear, anxiety, or determination. Example. Her fingers trembled as she fumbled for her phone. She dialed the number for the police, but as soon as the call connected, she heard a strange noise, a loud crash coming from the direction of her home. Sarah's hand was tightly holding her phone in a moment of panic. Similar words. Held, clutched, seized, grasped, clenched. Context. Gripped conveys a strong, often emotional reaction to something. It can refer to physical or emotional control over something. Lunge. Definition. To make a sudden, forceful movement, usually forward, often in an attempt to attack or catch something. Example. The figure hesitated but then lunged forward, slashing the knife through the air. The attacker moved quickly and aggressively towards the man. Similar words: pounce, leap, charge, rush, dart. Context: lunge is often used in a physical confrontation or action scene where one person suddenly moves toward another, typically with aggression or speed. Hesitated. Definition: to pause before doing something, often because of uncertainty or doubt. Example: the figure hesitated but then lunged forward, slashing the knife through the air. The attacker stopped for a brief moment, uncertain or unsure, before deciding to act. Similar words: paused, wavered, faltered, delayed, doubted. Context: hesitate is typically used to describe a delay in action because of fear, indecision, or a need to think before proceeding. Uncertain. Definition: not sure, not clear, or lacking confidence in a decision or situation. Example: Sarah stopped for a moment, uncertain. Sarah was unsure what to do or how to react when she saw the man standing in the shadows. Similar words: unsure, doubtful, unclear, hesitant, indecisive. Context: uncertain describes a lack of confidence or clarity. It's often used when someone is unsure about what to do next or how to interpret a situation. Story written by ChatGPT AI. Image created by AI Magic X AI. To read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at The Silent Witness.
Yeah, it's less just a thriller, more a look at making choices under extreme pressure.
Exactly. And this interesting conflict, right, between protecting someone and telling them the truth.
We're focusing on this one key scene where Sarah, the main character, has to decide instantly whether to trust a complete stranger.
So the setup is Sarah walking home. It's cold, snowy, quiet. Nice, actually.
Right. She's enjoying the peace, but then, bam, she sees someone, a figure lurking in the shadows.
And that feeling, that quiet comfort, just gone, replaced by this sudden uncertainty.
That's the trigger, isn't it? The author uses that shift to basically set the stage for everything that follows.
Okay, let's unpack that shift more. Segment 1, the warning and that initial freeze.
So she realizes someone's following her. That classic feeling, hairs on the back of your neck.
Total panic mode starting. But before she can even really react.
Yeah, before the flight response fully kicks in, the stranger steps up.
And gives this incredibly strange warning.
Right. Low voice, strangely calm, just says, you're in danger.
And then the really specific part. There's someone inside your house. You need to get out now.
And you know what's interesting? That calmness. When you're panicking like that, sometimes a clear, calm command is the only thing that cuts through.
It focuses you, breaks that mental freeze.
Exactly. Pushes you towards action instead of just fear.
But then, that clarity is shattered immediately. A loud crash from inside her house.
Oh yeah, that sound just flips a switch. All rational thought out the window.
And she just bolts, runs towards the house, towards the danger, which is understandable, but risky.
It's a very common reaction. And that's why the stranger has to physically stop her.
Right, so she gets to the door, it's slightly open, she's about to rush in.
Driven purely by instinct at this point. But he grabs her, pulls her back.
And says firmly, stay back, I'll go in first.
And that's the first big test of trust, isn't it? She can hear the danger inside, but she has to trust this guy she doesn't know.
Over her own instinct to, confront whatever's happening.
Which brings us inside the house, the confrontation itself.
The source material is really specific here with the actions. It paints a picture.
It does. You've got the attacker, tall, thin, all in black, holding a knife. Classic bad guy image.
But the source notes the attacker hesitated. Just for a moment, why include that?
I think the hesitation signals something. It shows the stranger isn't just another victim walking in. His presence throws the attacker off. He's a professional.
Okay. So the attacker hesitates, then recovers and lunges forward. Wild slash with the knife.
But the stranger is faster. Quick reaction. Knocks the knife away, pins the attacker down. Almost instant.
That speed, that decisiveness, it kind of retroactively justifies Sarah's forced trust, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It confirms he knew what he was doing. She made the right, albeit forced, choice.
So the immediate danger is over. Police arrive. And then we get the reveal. The truth.
Yeah, who is this guy? Turns out he wasn't just some random hero.
He's part of a team. They track dangerous people.
And this attacker, he hadn't just shown up. He'd been watching Sarah for weeks.
Weeks. And it wasn't just robbery he was after. The source says he planned to hurt her. It was personal, or at least more than just about money.
Chilling stuff. And this is where the story pivots, like you said, from action to ethics.
Because the stranger apologizes. He says, I should have done more sooner.
But then he gives the reason why he didn't warn her. Telling her, he says, would have put you at more risk.
And that is the core tension, isn't it? For you, the listener, thinking about this.
Definitely. His job wasn't just to stop the attack, but to manage the information risk leading up to it.
He knew being stalked would terrify her, cause immense psychological stress.
But he decided, maybe coldly, that telling her the full truth earlier posed a bigger operational risk, a greater physical threat than letting her remain unaware until the last second.
He chose safety over her right to know, maximum protection over informed consent.
It's a tough call. He finishes by saying saving her was just his job.
And that he hopes she never has to see him again. He just leaves. The door handle is the last thing mentioned.
Yeah, that final image. The closed door, the separation.
So, thinking about this, the person who saves your life might be the one you know the absolute least about.
This is a strange thought.
And it leaves us with this question. If you were in his shoes, the silent witness, knowing the danger, would you always prioritize minimizing physical risk over telling the victim the truth?
Does the potential greater risk of disclosure always outweigh that immediate human need to know what you're facing?
It's a heavy calculation. Protection versus disclosure, something to maybe mull over, thinking about what safe really means and what it sometimes costs.